Breaking drama in Senate as new Efcc chairman uses Akpabio as example of fraud case under investigation. Yes, now, because everybody knows that Akpabio has an unfinished Efcc case, even though Nigerian system is just quite unfortunate, and even in the midst of that investigation, they still made him the Senate president. Even the Senate of 18, he didn't even really win because in Akwa Ibom we understood how the case was very controversial. Okay. So now, the new EFCC chairman that Tinubu nominated and now was to face screen at the Senate. During the screening, he used Akpabio as example of EFCC cases under investigation. And it was like, if I am to investigate the Senate president, trying to explain how he would do his job. Or not knowing that everybody's aware that the Senate president is having an unfinished EFCC case, including himself. Probably he did that deliberately or did that out of error, we don't know. But immediately the Senate president reacted and said, don't use me as an example, please. Use another thing or use somewhere else, or use something else. And it became a rowdy session at the Senate during that period. They laughed over it, but then a message has been passed. So let's dive into the detail. There was a mild drama in the Senate on Wednesday during the screening of Mr. Ola Olukoyede as the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Olukoyede had cited the name of the Senate president as an example in his presentation on investigating a graft case. However, he suddenly stopped when he noticed the mood of lawmakers in the chamber. If we are investigating the Senate president, for example, Olukoyede said, prompting lawmakers to burst into laughter. But the laughter became louder when Senator Godswill Akpabio told the FCC chairman nominee not to use his name as an example in the investigation of a corruption case. Akpabio said, I am very glad that the nominee wants to use the Senate president as an example. But Mr. Nominee, leave the Senate president for now. Look at this direction, pointing at the seats of opposition lawmakers. So Mr. Olukoyede, after the loud laughter, continued his speech without mentioning anyone's name, saying, if you are fighting corruption, you become the enemy of everybody. So he knows. Recorded Akpabio has a 108.1 billion naira alleged theft of funds case before the anti-graft agency. The EFCC started the investigation of the former Akwa Ibom governor after a petition by an Abuja-based lawyer and activist, Leo Ekpenyong, and the commission had detained Akpabio over alleged fraud, but he has consistently maintained innocence. Meanwhile, the status of the case is currently unknown. That is it. So the truth is just like why the people were laughing is that Akpabio has a case with EFCC that is unfinished and something must be done about that case. That is it. So when the EFCC chairman nominee, Ola Olukoyede, used him as an example, it was, in fact, it brought back the fresh memory of Akpabio's case that is still resident with the EFCC, that up to now people don't know the case. The fact remains that APC is a party where if you join them, no matter how big your sins are forgiven. That was exactly what Oshomole said in 2019 when he was the chairman of the party and was also campaigning for Buhari to come into power. Since then, that has been the case with the party. Once your cases are very tough, just join APC and all your sins will be forgiven immediately. Okay, and almost all the people that are in the cabinet that are even in APC have one EFCC case or one criminal case or the other. Okay, but the government, being their government, they are not looking at their direction. Very bad situation, I tell you. So now that he has used Akpabio as a case study, he brought a kind of drama in the house. They brought a kind of drama in the house. So people were like, why Akpabio? Why Akpabio? And immediately Akpabio also saw that, is generating a kind of rowdy session. He quickly told the EFCC chairman nominee, don't use me, please. It is good that the EFCC nominee chairman wants to use Senate the Senate president as example, but please don't use me as example. Use those people. He pointed to the direction of the opposition lawmakers in the Senate, which are basically going to be PDP and the Labour Party. Okay, but how long will Akpabio case continue to be in the cooler? How long will it be forgotten? That is the question. So why is Nigeria like this? Why is Nigeria like this? Quite unfortunate situation. Okay, so with the rowdy session, the EFCC nominee, Ola Olukoyede, immediately retraced his statement, immediately stopped mentioning people's name, and then completed his presentation without mentioning Akpabio's name again. Okay, but the thing actually resurrected with everybody because Akpabio has a case with EFCC, which Nigerians are asking, where are we on this case? What is happening to this case? And up to now, nobody has said anything about it. It's a very terrible situation we are in Nigeria, that once you join APC, your sins are forgiven. Even though the sins are against the citizens, the sins are against the Nigerian law and constitution, your sins are forgiven. So that is to say that there are people in Nigeria that are above the law. Okay? So the law is made by some people for some people. The highly placed are not affected by the law, but the small citizens and the less privileged are the ones that their cases will just be dealt with immediately, and immediately it is being raised. Quite an unfortunate situation. Okay. Now the question is it only Akpabio that has case with EFCC that is yet to be completed? No. Okay. The another question is, now that this EFCC chairman nominee, I know he has been approved, is aware that Senate president has the case, and a lot of the people that are nominating him have cases with EFCC. Is he going to look in their direction? Is he going to work uninfluenced, or he is going to look away from that direction and start facing small Yahoo boys or start facing other people? That is the situation in Nigeria. They will not go and face unprotected Nigerian citizens, and then be doing their job like they are working. Meanwhile, their godfathers are sunk in corruption and criminal fraudulent cases, financial fraud. They don't look at that direction. Example is the Bullion Van saga of 2019 that involved the Mr. President. That case is ending today. And that is simple case around money laundering policy. You have no right to move certain amount of money cash. But this man moved it and accepted it, but then the people are still covering it up. Nigeria is a land of drama. So thank you for listening, and let's have your comment.